There is much speculation about where the president stands, about whether he can, as the current phrase goes, tough it out. There are, as usual, two schools of thought. A more important question is, what sort of precedent will have been set? Last spring, when the story was breaking, one friend of mine here said that the conclusion that those who come to power in the future might draw, from what we have been learning, is not that these things should not be done, but that they should be done more skillfully. The New York Times says today that Stephen Bull, a White House aide, has reportedly told Senate investigators that President Nixon on several occasions asked White House aides to play tapes, including two of his conversations with White House counsel John Dean, and to brief him on their content. This was said to have happened both before and during the time Dean testified before the Irvin Committee. Dean, in 5 days of testimony in June, had said that last September the president had praised him for his work on the case, which Dean took to mean that the president was pleased that no one higher than Liddy had been prosecuted. Dean told the committee that on March 13th, he told the president that the Watergate defendants were asking for more money. He said that the president had asked him how much they were demanding, and when Dean said that it might be $1 million or more, the president said that that would be no problem. The president then said, according to Dean, that he had discussed the fact that Hunt had been promised executive clemency with Ehrlichman and Colson. Haldeman and others subsequently told the committee that this conversation took place on March 21st. Dean said that at a meeting on March 21st, he told Mr. Nixon that there was a cancer growing on the presidency. And he said that when he and the president met on the evening of April 15th, after Dean had begun to cooperate with the prosecutors, the president said that he had only been joking about raising the money for the defendants. And then, said Dean, the president went to a corner of the room and whispered that he had probably been foolish to discuss Hunt's clemency with Colson. Dean said that he had the impression that the conversation was being taped. All this was before Alexander Butterfield, a former White House aide and later Federal Aviation Administrator, revealed to the Irvin Committee on July 16th the existence of the tapes. It was hard to believe that they existed, much less to think that the president had not taken care that there was nothing incriminating on them. Haldeman later told the Irvin Committee that the president's questioning of Dean on the payments to the defendants was just the president's way of drawing people out. Haldeman also told the committee that, at the president's request, he had listened to 2 of the tapes. After the Irvin Committee requested the tapes, the president on July 23rd declined to turn them over, and on the same day, the committee subpoenaed them. The president wrote to the committee that he had listened to a number of them and that they were entirely consistent with what I know to be the truth and what I have stated to be the truth. However, as in any verbatim recording of informal conversations, they contain comments that persons with different perspectives and motivations would inevitably interpret in different ways. There is much about the recent period that we still do not know. We do not know all the ways that the power of government was used to further the administration's ends, or even what its ends were. We have to learn everything we can because we have to know what we are capable of. The framers of the Constitution understood a lot about human nature and recognized its darker side. It is not ordained, except perhaps in our hopes, that America is immune to the effects of mankind's darker impulses. But while the investigations into what happened continue, it is also important to consider what we already know. The president and his top assistants believed they could suspend the First and Fourth Amendments in the Bill of Rights when they perceived a threat to the national security. The White House attempted to use the instruments of government against political opponents and other citizens exercising their right of free speech. One of the most disturbing parts of John Dean's testimony before the Irvin Committee was the memoranda he submitted about the White House enemies. One memorandum written in August 1971 by Dean to members of the White House.